Hi everyone, and welcome back to another reaction video. I appreciate you stopping by. And today the song I chose to listen to is Ghost by Phish, live in Prague, 1998. And I actually received this as a request and a donation from Matt M. So thank you so much for the request and donation. And in the request, they said that the guitarist in this band, let me check the message again, Trey Anastasio, is one of the best guitarists on the planet. So I'm quite interested in seeing what this is like. I've actually never heard of this band before, so I did a little research, and I just saw that they were a band from 1983, an American rock band, and that's about all I know about them. And the guitarist's name is Trey Anastasio. So yeah, let's go ahead and check this out. This is pretty long, so I'm expecting a lot of guitar greatness, and let's get right into it. And in the words of Jeff Walker, let's rock. Let me make sure this is highest quality, by the way. Okay. Okay, so already I can hear that the guitarist is using a delay pedal, I believe, to get that little effect where he plays a note and it's kind of fading and looping. And then interesting, they also have a keyboardist, which is pretty cool. This kind of sounds like elevator music so far a little bit, actually. Interesting sound. Okay, actually maybe that's not a delay pedal. It could be like just a looper that he's using because this is like looping throughout the entire section. It's a really bright bass tone, by the way. I would say it sounds like kind of like Alien, like almost like a video game soundtrack, kind of like Earthbound kind of vibes so far. Definitely an interesting sound. Okay, I wonder if this is an instrumental, because it sounds like it could be an instrumental song. It sounds like the guitarist now is using like a wah pedal or something like that. You can definitely hear the wah clearly when he's playing the notes. Like wah, wah. Definitely some prominent wah. I love these like old like live recordings from back in the day, like the 90s or 80s. You can tell it's just like some fan in the concert holding up a camera um and just recording it directly. And then this is like the only kind of recordings that are out there on these old live performances. So this is like a piece of history right here for sure. And it's like it feels like so like natural, I guess, as opposed to like like the recordings of live performances nowadays where it's like you get the direct input from everyone's instruments, and then it's like multiple camera shots and everything. This is like a different this is like a time capsule of a different time. Like sometimes I would watch like the old death metal concerts from the 90s, and it feels exactly like this. Yeah, it's just cool to see like the camera person just randomly just like shifts over racks and or something like that. This of course is back before everyone had phones, so this is like the only piece of footage of this concert probably that's out there or something like that. You can tell he's really, really feeling like his music right now. He's like in his vibe. He's not even looking at the fretboard at all. He's just shaking his head and stuff like that. He knows exactly what to play without looking at the guitar or anything. Just completely immersed. Look how happy he is. Okay, this is really interesting. Okay, I can't tell who the second vocalist. Obviously, the guitarist is one of the vocalists. Um, but there's another like deeper vocalist. I think it might be the drummer actually. Like I can't say for sure because the video quality isn't the best, but it seems like the drummer might also have a mic to his mouth and it looks like he's like talking or something like that. So that's pretty cool. Definitely two different vocal styles going on at play here. You have one doing the higher vocals. I'm gonna assume that's guitarist, and one doing like lower um, vocals as well. I wanted to say so far the vibe of this song kind of reminds me a little bit of Built to Spill a little bit, like heavily instrumental, and the vocals like it's like a very like how do I say? It's like a very casual kind of vibe, I would say. So if you guys see that resemblance, let me know in the comments. Maybe I lay down the phone before we could be heard. I somehow feel forsaken. Like the door. Guess I just stopped needing as much as once before. And that's kind of cool. Like I wonder if I think that's intentional probably, but like the deeper vocalist is talking first, and then the higher vocalist, I guess, is echoing him, which is kind of cool. Stop as much as once before. By the way, I obviously respect any like instrument player that can also do vocals at the same time, but especially drummers. Like drummers have probably one of the most important functions in a band is keeping the beat, and then doing vocal duties on top of that is crazy, like crazy difficulty that comes with that. Like keeping the beat and also doing vocal, like it's pretty hard to focus already on keeping the beat as a drummer, I feel like. Um, and then to add vocals on top of that as well is another level of talent, I have to say. So I definitely respect any band that has a drummer that's also a vocalist. There's not many out there. I would say the few that I can think of is maybe like Nocturnus, which is a death metal band from the 90s. That's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. Oh, actually, another one I can think of is I think Phil Collins from Genesis. I think he was also a drummer as well as lead vocalist as well. So those are some rare examples I can think of.
But maybe he's still with me. The latch was left unhooked. He's waiting in the wind and rain. I simply haven't looked. Never told you the story of the ghost. I feel like never.
Okay, just because I'm getting kind of paranoid because it looks like the pianoist is also doing vocalist now. I need to verify if the drummer is also a vocalist. I'm gonna go check that really quick. Okay, yes, I just checked on the Wikipedia page. It looks like the drummer also does do vocals, so I'm hoping I'm correct on that one right there. The lower vocals were, I think, the drummer. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me on that. But it looks like the keyboard is, the pianist is also joining in on the vocals here.
Never told you the story of the ghost. I feel like never told.
That was a really nice chord hit with the wah. You could clearly hear the wah in there. It sounds really, really cool.
Of the ghost.
Right there.
Feel like never told you the story of the ghost. I feel like never told you the story of the ghost. I feel like never told you the story of the ghost.
I gotta say that bass sounds really nice. I like how loudly you can hear the bass, and it's a very bright tone as well. Like it kind of cuts through the mix a little bit, I would have to say. Definitely sounds like slap bass. Oh, I can see him stepping on a pedal. He's gonna change his sound. Okay, one interesting thing I want to note here is I think he's playing a hollow body electric guitar, which is pretty interesting. I personally don't own any, but for me it's kind of rare to see hollow body electric guitar, so that's another unique thing about this performance right here. I think he's getting to a solo here, so I'm going to rewind a little bit. Okay, before we go on anymore, because I think he just changed guitar tone, there's a few things I want to comment on. One, I wonder if the studio recording of the song, Ghost, is like actually like this much instrumental, because it's kind of rare for rock bands to have this kind of long, really, really long instrumental break in a studio recording. It's more like a live performance thing where the audience is really feeling everything, I guess. So I wonder, first, I wonder how long the song actually is in the studio, if it's actually 15 minutes or not, and if there's actually this really long instrumental break, because this feels a lot more like a live kind of rendition of the song with this long instrumental part. Another thing I want to mention is, so it looks like in the beginning of the solo, he switched off like the wah pedal, so it's a completely different tone now. This tone sounds a lot more like, it's kind of hard to explain. It sounds more like a keyboard in a way. Let me play some parts of that again, just so we can get the vibe. Yeah, at times it sounds like he's like it almost sounds a bit like a MIDI at parts, this guitar tone right here, which is pretty interesting. It must be one of his pedals that he hit at the beginning of the solo. So that's kind of cool. And also I noticed that like right here it looks like he's playing fingerstyle. Or yeah, it looks like he's, or is it with the pick? Honestly, I can't tell. It's kind of hard to tell. It looks like he's playing with the pick later, but then at times he looks like he's playing fingerstyle. Like that looks like fingerstyle right there. So I wonder if he kind of changed up his styles a little bit throughout the solo, because later on you can tell he's clearly playing with the pick. Let's go a little bit further. So right here, I think he's playing with the pick. But at times it also looks like he's playing fingerstyle, which is pretty cool. If that's the case, then he's probably changing up style because you get a different timbre when you play fingerstyle. You have a lot more control over your attack. But with a pick, it's like you have a pretty strong attack always, usually. Of course, there's kind of different ways you can hit the pick and stuff like that. But with fingerstyle, you definitely have a lot more control. So I wonder if he changed up his style for that. But yeah, looks like we have another section coming up here, another solo section. So let's get right into that. And then here, his guitar tone becomes a lot more electric. You can see he hits a pedal, I think. So his guitar tone changes here. Also, I gotta say, everyone in this band looks super young. I'm not sure, but like their hairstyles and everything, they kind of look like super young, like teenagers or so. Or maybe early 20s or something like that. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Okay, let me rewind that a little bit. Okay, so his guitar tone at the beginning of this changes a lot more, like it becomes a lot more electric. I think he switched to like his bridge pickup or something like that, or it's probably like a pedal or something like that. But you can tell his guitar tone changes a little bit. I thought he was gonna go into like a rock solo right there, compared to what he was doing before. Let's listen to that again. Like here, you can definitely hear the tonal shift. It sounds a lot more like a rock band solo for sure right here, as opposed to what they were doing before. Oh, that was cool. The way he flicked his hand off the fretboard, that's cool. That was a cool sound he produced. And this right here, he's repeating the same three notes in this passage, but then you can see he's stepping on something on the ground, probably like a pedal, and his tone changes while playing the same three notes, which is one of the advantages of having a lot of pedals and stuff. That's really cool. And then you get different sound while playing the same three notes. Right here, it's a lot softer. And then that sounded like he was using a harmonizer or something like that, because I don't see a second guitarist, so I think he's probably using a harmonizer or something like that. So you kind of hear like a higher pitched kind of sound while he's playing that same passage as well, which is pretty cool. Like, this sounds like a harmonizer. Look how happy he is. Wow. Okay, so you turn back on the wall right here. But something I want to mention is okay, this band is interesting because when I first heard like the first, I want to say like 6 or 7 minutes of this song, 6, 7 minutes of this song, I kind of thought they were like more like an alternative rock band, like maybe like one of those more like experimental, like instrumental rock bands with how much instrumental there are, and it kind of did sound kind of unique as well. But then this guitarist also, he incorporated some more like kind of shred phrasings in the solo as well. So that kind of leads me to think that they kind of have both of those elements in there. They kind of have like the experimental rock kind of parts, and then they also kind of have the traditional rock band kind of shredding guitar solos and stuff like that kind of parts as well in the music. That's just what I think. Let's go back a little bit and I'll tell you what I think specifically. So right there, that phrasing, like that little solo kind of mini section right there, that kind of reminds me of like a traditional rock band kind of solo. So it can definitely produce these like really unique sounds, but you can also do like these kind of traditional guitar soloing as well, which is pretty cool. There's the wah again. And he's jumping, wow. Really nice bending right here. Yeah, this again sounds like some of that pentatonic shred that metal guitars do a lot, like this right here, but you can hear the wall, of course, really pronounced right there. But there's some really nice bends in there that sound really, really nice. You can tell that he's like really enjoying this performance. Like he's really loving performing in front of everyone, with how he's like, banging his head and stuff, and he's jumping, he's back before he's jumping and stuff. Like really, really animated performance. Some tremolo picking as well. Okay, I'm not sure if that's a keyboard or an organ. I think it might sound like an organ, but that's cool. So the pianist also switched to an organ, I think. Completely different sound as well. Oh, that ended kind of abruptly. Oh no, they're still going. They're still going. Oh, but okay, the video ends there. So I wonder if there was more to that song or if it's a different song entirely. But wow. Okay, this leads me to wonder again if the actual studio recording is like this long of instrumental. Because I'd say this performance is probably like 90% instrumental. Um, just the band members doing their thing with all their instruments and just showing off their musicality and stuff. Um, I will say though, this isn't typically the kind of music I listen to. Um, I don't mean this in any disrespectful way, but I usually like a lot more heavy stuff, and when it comes to guitar solos, I like stuff that's a bit more show-offy, I guess, a bit more electric. This one, it felt a little bit like it was very experimental, but it felt more like in a jazz club kind of way, like a jazz club kind of performance, um, which I can definitely see the merits in people who like listening to that kind of stuff. But personally, I like a lot more like rambunctious performances when it comes to instrumental music. Um, but that's not to say there weren't remnants of that in this performance. Obviously, there was parts I pointed out that were more like traditional guitar soloing as well, which I really appreciated. But yeah, overall, I can definitely see like the musicality in this band is definitely up there for sure. Like everyone was just doing their thing, especially the guitarist as well. So yeah, I definitely had to respect them. But yeah, again, thank you so much to Matt M for the request and donation. I really appreciate it. And I hope you enjoyed watching this reaction video as well.